Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. We are back. Can't get rid of us. It's the Quarantine Concert Series. I'm your host, Kabir Segal, and this is show number 53. I can't even count that high in Spanish, and I've been learning Spanish because I've been talking to my good friends Sandra and Camilo. They've been teaching me along the way. They're this incredible sound and tech team. So we come to you every single day live from Atlanta. I'm here at my parents' place. They're taking an afternoon siesta, but I actually don't think they're sleeping. I think they're secretly watching. So hi, Mom, if you're watching, and I really need you to get off the Wi-Fi so I can get a nice connection. And so if you're watching at home and it starts to flicker, that's my mom for you. So thanks for watching, Mom. I know you really wanted to see this episode. All right, so what are we doing? By now, you know, we're hosting this concert series every day at 10 p.m. Eastern. We do a matinee showing, which you're watching right now. All the gigs have gone away. We're living through an international pandemic, a crisis. And I started to get emails that all the gigs had gone away. And so gigs are canceled even into 2021. So I saw one estimate that it's a $9 billion loss to the live concert industry. It's huge. And so a lot of artists are being affected by this. Not just the artists, it's obviously the people in the creative communities, the managers, the bookers, the promoters, the engineers, the whole ecosystem of people who are having their way of life affected. So now is the time. We started this concert series in earnest to put the spotlight back on the people who deserve it, back on the artists. These are the people that give us their, mind, body, and souls, and give us their virtuosity and their brilliance throughout the year. And I think it's time we, especially in times like this, we put the focus on them and try to support them and the creative community as much as possible. So if you're listening to music at home, go to the artist's website, buy their music, support their music, stream the website. There's always been a relationship between artists and patrons going back to the Middle Ages between the church and musicians. So just be supportive, be there for the creative community. So that's where we started the Quarantine Concert Series. I want to give a shout out to our partners at All About Jazz who helped simulcast these broadcasts. Michael Ritchie started All About Jazz in 1995. Great website. They're actually chronicling great journalism happening there, chronicling all the obituaries, unfortunately, of people who are passing away because of this pandemic. It's quite sad to see how this pandemic has affected the jazz community in particular. So you can read up about some of the legends, the incredible lives that have been lived on All About Jazz. If you're an artist, go to All About Jazz, claim your profile. If you're a patron, please make a donation and support the wonderful journalism happening in All About Jazz. All right, one more thing. We started, because I don't have a life, I know that's what you guys are all thinking, we started a quarantine film series in the morning. I recently finished my first film, and I realized all the film festivals are canceled. And so we're in the morning, around 10:30 in the morning, we're talking to directors of films who have had their movies accepted into top festivals like South by Southwest and the Tribeca Film Festival. But unfortunately, it's hard to find a sales agent and sell the film. So we're trying to put the spotlight on these artists, the filmmakers who made some incredible projects that'll be hopefully coming to a screen near you soon. So keep it here on social media. Also, we started a new feature, the word of the day. We'll have a music word of the day. There will be a pop quiz at the end of this broadcast. So for those of you who can answer the pop quiz at the end of the broadcast, there will be a special prize. So the word of today is crumhorn. Crumhorn. Crumhorn is a medieval and Renaissance wind instrument related to the recorder with an encased double reed. You see it right there. It kind of looks like a cane, if you will. There will be no crumhorn playing on this show, though. No crumhorn, unless our artists have something truly surprising for us. But that is the word of the day, all right? So keep that in your noggins. All right. Where can you find us? You can find us everywhere. You can find us on the Facebook. Find us on the Twitter. You can find us on the very delicious and delectable Instagram cracker. It goes nice with a marshmallow. You can make a s'more out of it. For those of you watching on Instagram, I'm now the Tiger King. You can see me. If you've been watching that on Netflix, I got my tigers coming out of my head. If you're on LinkedIn, you can watch us on LinkedIn. 1.1 out of every 5 Americans have lost their jobs as a result of this pandemic. So if you're in the middle of your job search on LinkedIn, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're going to try to give you a few moments of music to keep you enlivened, motivated, inspired to go back and crush that job search. And we wish you all the best on that job search. We're also on YouTube, and as of a couple of days ago, we're on Twitch. So for the one person watching on Twitch, the show's for you. All right. So that is the lineup of where you could find us. If you're an artist that wants to get on the broadcast, hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. There's a bit of a waiting list. So we're going to try to get through that as thoughtfully as possible. Even if you're my friend, no special favors. No, just kidding. Just kidding. We'll try to get you on. Just please bear with us. Please bear with us. All right. So that's the opening spiel. And now for the part of the show that we're all here for, not for me. We're here to see this incredible two artists who are virtuosos, dynamic virtuosos that they have enriched not just the jazz world, the music world. And it's been wonderful collaborating with them and to have become friends with them over the last couple of years now. Please welcome to the wonderful, incredible artists, Regina Carter and Alvester. Vester Garnett. Welcome.
Thank you, Kabir. Thanks for having us.
Of course, of course. Tell me, first of all, where are you broadcasting from?
We're broadcasting from our home in Maywood, New Jersey.
Yep, in our music room downstairs, not our living room. It's where all the great stuff.
Got it. A little hard to hear you, Alvester, so I don't know if you can speak more into the microphone.
Yeah, we're in our music room downstairs.
Got it. Well, we all need one. It's nice if there's ever an emergency in the basement, you just run down to the music room. If there's a tornado or something, just go down to the music room in the basement.
Yeah.
Tell me, how is quarantine life like? What have you had to cancel? What were you going to be doing at this time that you can't do right now because of the situation?
Well, I was scheduled to go to Michigan, artist in residence at my alma mater, Oakland University, up in Rochester, Michigan. I was scheduled to go there and spend a week doing some teaching, and then to perform a concert with Sean Dobbins. It was a women in jazz concert. So that was canceled. I was supposed to play with the Cleveland Jazz Orchestra. Um, I had some other dates. So I was supposed to be in South Africa for the International Jazz Festival. That was canceled, of course. And I have had some dates actually in 2021 cancel because some of the venues, I think they're just having to cut way back on their season. But Alvester,
Yeah,
yeah, Alvester,
I
you
lost
lost.
back in January. I lost 4 weeks, three that were going to be with no 1 or 2 weeks with Walter Blanding in Shanghai, and then another 2 weeks with Lawson Harris at the same club, Jazz at Lincoln Center. So that happened right after we played Dizzy's with Walter Blanding. You know, Walter is the basically like the head of Jazz at Lincoln Center in Shanghai in conjunction with the Chinese partners there. They shut it down. Um, numerous gigs I've lost over of course, like everyone else. Tonight I would have been at a place on Rutgers campus called Clement's Place with Lewis Porter. Last weekend I was supposed to have been with Rosanna Vitro at Deerhead Inn, and then also with Nat Adderley Jr. in somewhere in New Jersey, and yeah, stuff with him also being canceled. Of course,
Yeah.
like everyone else, lots of gigs towards the future and stuff with Regina also canceled. But thank goodness, at least institutions like NJ Pat, Jazz House Kids are still active and
Hmm.
hiring people like me and Regina to teach. I know Regina has her jazz camp coming up this summer. She's going to be one of the few jazz camps still running. I'm teaching privately from home. I've done some overdubs on things. Had a client did a rock gig recently last week that I changed this room around. Had the big rock drums out. The drum zone I used to work with Harry Belafonte, my big drums. And so I brought back in my little kid here that got his life on the Broadway show Shuffle Along. And I really appreciate my drum maker, D'Amico Drums, for making me my instrument. So just happy to be playing with my wife, too, because we finally played together last week.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun just to come down here and create and get the creative juices going. Because for me, well, the first 2 weeks that everything was canceled, I gave myself a 2 week vacation to do nothing and just, and it was kind of weird to try to process this whole thing of being sort of, shut inside. But I tried to look at it as a long Sabbath day and just try to reflect and reflect about myself, my life. We're not, unfortunately, we're not going to go back to normal. We're going to go into something new. And while jobs and venues are opening up, I think musicians and self-employed artists and self-employed the gig economy, especially with musicians and artists, I think we're going to be the last ones. We're still going to be hurting from this for a long time. So having this quarantine concert series and so many others, thank you, Kabir, for inviting us to be a part of it, is really important. It's a chance for us to still be able to share with our audiences. So we thank all the people watching too, because without you, you know, we need you. We all need each other, really. We
Yeah.
need each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's nice
What
to
would
see
you like?
that you have this going on. Thank you.
Of course. What would you like to begin your performance with?
We're going to start with a tune that Alvester wrote.
And it's
He wrote,
recorded, just not out yet on
yeah,
the
he
record.
recorded it. It's not out yet, but it is, he wrote it for Katrina after Katrina happened. And this is called New for Nolans.
And the beginning is it's kind of like in a way what we're going through. It's there's a storm that has come, and from the midst of that storm, there's a resurrection of sorts, and a joy still to be had. There is basically lemonade to be made from some of these lemons. Want to deal with that storm?
Mm-hmm.
song after a composition called "The Popeye" by Nat Adler Jr. And he's still clapping. All right. All right. And Ellis Marcellus played on that record. Ellis is one of my teachers.
You know,
So.
if you're watching at home, the more emojis on the screen, the more applause I'll give them.
Okay.
We have Donna Scott in the house. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us where you're watching from. Juan Carlos in Indiana.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's beautiful.
Shirley, love the intro.
Thank you.
This is hilarious.
There's a Ron Atkins in the house checking you out.
He's got sound effects.
I love it. I know.
Oh, there's a Ron. Oh, man. Hey, Ron.
We love you in Dayton, Ohio. Dayton, Ohio in the house.
Yay,
Oh,
Dayton.
beautiful.
Detroit in the house.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got Ukraine in the house.
Uh-oh.
Wow, cool. Very cool. Thank you.
Wonderful.
We got Brooklyn in the house. We got the Michigan in the house.
Brooklyn. Yeah.
Bloomfield, New Jersey.
Oh,
Yay.
right around the
Neighbors.
yeah.
Maryland. West Bloomfield, Michigan.
Delwyn. Hi, Delwyn.
Riverdale in the Bronx.
Very cool. Thank you all for tuning in.
Queens, New York.
Woo-hoo. Yes.
Like that. They it's a very well trained audience. Um,
They all
Tallahassee in the house. yeah, exactly. Tell me. People are asking. They want to know what instruments you're playing. So tell me about the drum set and tell me about the violin.
You want to talk about your
And speak
drum
right
set?
into the microphone. We're getting a lot of questions that you guys are really soft. So I'm trying to
Okay.
adjust my level. So speak
So
right into the
I'm-
microphone.
Yeah, I'm going to move closer to the mic and stand up a little bit. Sorry, it's just these two
You
mics.
want to?
Do you want to speak first?
No,
Regina?
you want to come and talk into this mic? Might be.
Yeah, I can come
might
over
be
there.
it
Maybe
for-
that helps if I stand like over there.
Well, I'll talk
Tell me.
about my
Yeah,
violin
you
while
go.
he's coming over. It's not a pedigree. It says it's a copy of a Storione from the 1700s, but a lot of the pieces have been changed. The pegs, that's plastic, so I'm politically correct. I broke the A-string peg once, and I went to the luthier's office or shop, and he didn't have a matching set. And I said, "Who cares if they match?" In fact, I like the fact that they're all different, so they're like chess pieces to me. So every peg is different. I had him move the sound post on it so I could get a little bit of a darker sound, but I chose this violin because it had a very warm and dark sound, which I prefer. And I always play acoustically unless I'm playing with more of a louder band, like an electric band. And then I use a pickup, but I love the sound of just the natural wood having a chance to the sound being able to travel to an overhead mic. So that's what I use. Alvester, you want to
Sure.
talk about your drums?
Donna's asking, how does that compare to the? But Donna's asking, how does that compare to the Paganini that you played?
There's no comparison. Paganini's violin, the Il Canone, it was actually a lot larger than my violin. So the string length, I knew not to try and do any daring leaps and shifts. And I only had 2 days, 4 hours each day to try and get to know the instrument, which usually takes at least a year to get to know an instrument and for it to know you. So I had to understand what I could and couldn't do, and the sound though on the Il Canone is much bigger than this. It's huge and it's got a very low voice, almost like a viola. It was interesting because before I was allowed to play Paganini's violin, I had to answer all these questions. It was like an interview process, and a lot of people didn't they were against me playing the violin, playing jazz on it, and I think they just didn't know what jazz meant. So they told me, okay, you can't hit the violin with the bow, you can't do this, and it's like those aren't things I do Colegno, but I knew not to do it on that instrument. But when it was all said and done, the violin keeper, who happened to be from Detroit, Michigan, said that I caused less stress to the violin than the European classical violinists that would usually play the violin, because I was doing a lot of I was doing ballads and swing, and with swing or any bebop stuff, it's a very light bow. You're not like digging in like a classical might be. So it's more like so it was a lot lighter, caused less stress. So yeah.
Gotcha, Alvester.
Yeah, cool. Um, well, these drums, I've got about. You can stand right there, hon. I'm cool. Okay, you can. I'm taller, so you're gonna hear my voice better. But no need to get down in the frame. But these drums are. It's a company called D'Amico Drums, and it's literally a mom and pop operation. They only make custom made to order kits, and I ran across this company in at Kawumba Jazz Club with Regina, like I think about 18 years ago or something like that, maybe. And I fell in love with them. I liked that they had a sound that kind of reminded me like a hybrid between like an old Gretsch and Ludwig. So it kind of gave me those two different worlds. Like some of the masters, we know like Roy Haynes used to play Ludwig, and Max, one of my favorites, and one of my past teachers played Gretsch at one point. Um, and so this kid here, though, actually got its life on a Broadway production called Shuffle Along. Oh, sorry, those are my allergies. I don't have any sicknesses. It's just I'm out of my inhaler. But anyway, this kid, yeah, got its life on a Broadway show called Shuffle Along. I asked my drum maker to make me an instrument that had the 20 style look to it, and he researched. He's like super detail oriented, and he gave me this walnut finish. They're actually maple, but they look like they're old walnut. He put the 1920s era tubular lugs. He even put the curved in hoops, the steel hoops, rather than die cast, like I like almost like for us drummers. It's a difference in sound between die cast and steel. Die cast tends to be a little more open, but with that flange curving in, a la the old Radio King style, it gives you a little bit more focused, a little warmer sound. The die cast sound is way more focused, less overtones, generally a darker sound. So these kind of split the difference. And yeah, the snare drum is the one I use on the show, the Broadway show Shuffle Along. I think they won some Tony Awards for dancing and stuff. Savion Glover was the choreographer, so I had a ball working with the dancers. Those dancers were awesome. And this is not the
Sounds
bass drum.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah,
different
sounds.
vibe. Yeah, thanks.
Well, we love to hear another song.
Sure. You wanna use this?
What is this?
Mhm.
Awesome.
Let's start.
Okay. A meditation.
I love that.
Yeah.
That was the first time we've ever done that.
Amazing. That's the Valley. Palm Springs in the house.
Palm
Showing the
Springs,
love.
send us some sun.
Dana Herzen seconded out.
Where's that?
Sambu.
Woohoo.
Crazy.
Thank you.
That's Denver in the house.
Yay.
Oh, I think that makes
Is that Sylvia?
Carolyn Family? Ooh. That's Evan?
Oh, it might be
Upper
me.
Peninsula in the house. UP.
Woohoo, UP, Michigan.
Beautiful.
All right, well.
And there you go.
Wow, you know how to control them. They're really disciplined. That's
We practice all night. That's right.
whoa, wow,
see that.
powerful.
Tell me, guys, what are you both working on these days? Alvester, what are you working on these days musically? You working on any new project, any recordings?
Get
Not explicitly. Well, I have like people have called me to do overdubs on things recently, so that's one of the things I'm doing. I'm considering doing maybe another one for a charity. But I did one recently. Like I said, it was a rock project. I've been practicing getting my coordination better together. I'm kind of left-footed sometimes, so I had to get. I'm trying to work on getting more independence. Been working with my students, working out of the Wilcoxon, and that's challenging me because when you teach things, you really have to be super detailed and clean and clear, and so we're making these videos as faculty members sometimes for like Jazz for Teens, for example, and I have to go back and make sure it's nice and clear, and I'm making sure I play everything right, and I don't want to sound like it's like some kind of stiff, uptight kind of situation, but all my favorites I think have wonderful discipline because the discipline allows you to have more freedom, and that's one of the things I've been working on, and also I've been doing advocacy for other programs. I'm on Local 802's. I'm the chair of the Jazz Committee. I'm also in the Music Workers Alliance. I'm on the steering committee of that. I recently spoke on behalf of musicians to the Joe Biden campaign and posed some questions to that campaign. Hopefully, that they'll look at us and regard our situations because we're special, not just because we're awesome people, which I know,
Yeah.
but also it's just that our like Regina was saying, our work conditions are very different than a lot of other people. We have sometimes only 1099 work, sometimes only cash gigs, sometimes a hybrid of W-2, 1099. So it's hard for us to get access to the CARES Act in the way that a lot of the rest of the general public has. Hopefully that will change, but those are the issues that we as musicians struggle with. So I've been advocating for
Thank
us
you.
in that regard.
You're also on the nightlife committee as
Oh
well.
yeah, I'm on the New York City Nightlife Advisory Board. I'm one of the committee board members. I was appointed to that position.
Awesome, Regina. If you can speak directly into the microphone, Regina.
Yes.
I heard through the grapevine that you're working on a project. Tell me about it.
Yes, I have a project called Swing States that's coming out in July. I had some amazing musicians on the record. Harvey Mason on drums, uh, John Batiste on piano, Alex Quadrado on bass, John DeVersa on trumpet, and he also wrote all of the arrangements. I have Brian, I'm hoping I'm saying his name right, Garel, on
Yeah.
saxophone on a couple of tunes. And so it's a it's a project that deals with something that's very important for me, and that's voting. Um, last the last election, I was really disappointed to hear how many people didn't vote because either they didn't like either candidate or they just didn't feel like their vote makes a difference. And for me, I felt like it's really important that that we all vote because that was not a right that we always had. Um, and especially as an African American, my parents used to sit us in front of the television back in the 60s, and we watched the marches and see people being hosed down and beaten with clubs, um, and just so we could have this right. So, I don't take it lightly. Even if I don't like the candidates, I'm voting because they made it possible. A lot of them gave their lives so that we could have that right. So, um, and just this country has become more and more divided. Not even just about, it's not a Republican Democrat. There's just all this hate, and people feel like something's being taken away from them, and that someone else has taken it, and it's just really caused us to show the ugliness. And we're human beings first before we're Republican or Democrat or whatever party, other party there is. We're human beings, and we've gotten so far away from respecting each other and being able to talk to each other and have civil conversations about our differences. Um, so this record deals with the swing states and some incredible, which are important in the election, and some incredible arrangements by John Diversa. And I think one of my favorite tracks is the tune by Martha. Oh, my brain is going. Martha Vandell. And my brain.
It's all right.
Martha. Anyway, it'll come to
Which track?
me. Dancing in the Street.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And dun, dun, da, dee, dun. And he did an incredible arrangement. It's a ballad actually, and I would never have thought of that, but it's so incredible. And that was the tune. That tune, "Dancing in the Streets," became like a civil rights tune for people during that time, and just getting out and celebrating, and being present, and being mindful of what's going on. So it became sort of a civil rights tune. He's got Georgia, an incredible arrangement of Georgia.
I want to toast to the new record.
Hey, can you send me one of those?
Yeah. Tell
You
everyone. Tell everyone what this
Fago,
is.
Fago
Yeah.
Pop, Fago Pop, and that I was looking up a tune from Michigan, our state song, and it sounds like "Oh Christmas Tree," and so we didn't want to use that. So I said, well, let's use a tune that at least everybody in Michigan would know, which is a tune that was written about Fago Pop, and my favorite Fago Pop as a kid was chocolate, but I think there are some other flavors I can't remember. We talked about before. Do you
There's a
remember?
jazz flavor.
Oh, right. There's a jazz
There's a
flavor.
jazz and blues. Yeah, which you liked. That's
Yes.
cool. It was really fun working with you on the project, and yeah,
Thank
you
you.
can play it if you want.
Let's see
The
if people
Fagos.
in Michigan, if you remember this. Oh. Remember when you were a kid? And that's why we love Fago. I hope I didn't scare the people.
They really get their money's worth.
Still go get the record. It's okay.
I didn't sing on the record, so don't
Exactly.
be scared. Yeah, no, Kabir, it was
Yeah.
an honor to work with you. So thank you for helping to bringing the record and the
Yeah.
project and the idea to fruition. I really appreciate that.
Of course, always a pleasure. What would you like to play next?
Let's see. Let's do a. I don't know. This is a jam. We're just gonna do
Just a jam?
Mhm.
All right, cool.
thing like we did the other day.
That,
Mhm.
the Sika,
Mhm.
Papa Vasquez. Let me get, how did we get it going?
Yeah, we love
Come
you.
on, come on, come
For everyone watching at home, I want to see the applause on the screen. Let's give them some love.
They left.
The more clapping, the more I will do.
on. Front row. I think I scared him away when I sang.
I know.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Take us out, Regina.
We got the Simpsons in the house. The Simpsons are in the house. Got the yellow hands. Yeah. Mr. Barber. Got Herschel. If you write it, I'll do it. Like Herschel.
Bring it to me, Regina.
You're coming in fast now.
Uh-oh. Sweet hour.
All right.
Sweet hour.
A moment. A moment of silence to recover from that applause. All right. Um, tell me now. Tell me now. So, some questions coming in. Regina, you have excelled in classical and jazz. Why did you make the shift to do mostly jazz?
We had records laying around our house when I was a kid. Some Ella records that I loved, and Nat King Cole soundtracks to movies. And for me, it was just all music. We were listening to Motown. My dad listened to easy listening radio. And I was taking European classical lessons. I started as a Suzuki student, which you learn by playing by ear first. And so in my mind, I just thought, I was being prepped to hopefully be in someone's symphony orchestra. Although my teacher told my mother it would probably be extremely difficult because I was an African American. But so that's what I thought. And I remember when my mother would take me to a place that doesn't exist. They tore it down a couple of years ago, called Ford Auditorium, and that used to be the home of the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. And we'd sit up in the balcony because the where I studied, the Detroit Community Music School gave us very discounted tickets. So I was able to hear all kinds of concerts, and I would sit in that balcony and imagine myself not as being in the orchestra, but being the soloist in front of the orchestra. And so in my head, that's what I wanted to do. Anyway, in high school, though, jump ahead, one of my dearest friends, great vocalist, Carla Cook. Um, we sat next to each other in Spanish class, and she would always talk about folks like Miles Davis, Sarah Vaughan, Ella, Eddie Jefferson, and I hadn't heard of these people, and so she brought me three records, three albums: Jean-Luc Ponty's Aurora, Noel Pointer, and then Stephen Grappelli. And the first tune I learned by ear was Jean-Luc Ponty's Renaissance, and uh, and the Carla at the time also played upright bass, so we would play that tune on gigs together. But it was fun, and people just learning those tunes by ear. And I loved hearing the violin do something completely different. And then we were 16. There used to be a series on top of a hotel roof, the Pontchartrain in Detroit, called P Jazz. And Carla got tickets for us, and we went to hear Stephen Grappelli live, his trio. They were having so much fun. There was so much joy coming out of them and just the music. And that's what I wanted. I wanted that joy. I didn't get that joy when I was playing in orchestra and youth orchestra in Detroit. A lot of it was just how I was taught. There was just a lot of fear in trying to be perfect and not make a mistake and blah blah blah. And this music, I felt like there was so much joy, and that's what I wanted. And it just happened to be that it was jazz. And so hearing this music with a violinist on it really just captured me, and that's what I had to do then.
Got it. Thanks for that wonderful, thoughtful reply. Alvester, a question coming in from you. Lightning round. Top three favorite jazz drummers.
Oh, wow. Top three
I know
favorite
one of
jazz
them
drummers. Oh, I would say, of course, Max, Papa Joe. Oh, that's going to be tough now, that third one. Um, wow, it's going to be Philly or Elvin or Roy or. Uh, I just can't choose three,
Okay.
and it's going to change day by day.
What are some of your top jazz albums of all time that you would, if you were forced to go on to a desert island, you would take those with you?
Of course, kind of blue. Um, believe it or not, I really like this Essential Count Basie Volume 1 on Columbia. Um, just about anything by Elvin and Roy. And gosh, I'm terrible with names. I think Elvin's first record, just that's called Elvin with an exclamation point, is just brilliant with Frank Foster. And I think Frank West on that too. Um, whew, Heavy Weather is it? What is the name of that record with hit with the heavy hitting? I forget the name of that record with Joe with Elvin, a trio with Jimmy Garrison. Um, I'm bad with names, man.
That's all
I'm
right.
trying to think off the top of my head. I
You
mean,
might
it's
have
like,
it in your CD collection over there.
oh yeah,
How many CDs
yeah.
are in, how many CDs are in the CD? Anyone who can guess, I want guesses in the comments. How many CDs do you think they have in their CD bookcase?
Well, that's only one side of the room. You don't see the other side of the room.
All
Actually.
right.
Upstairs.
I could rotate everything, but it would mess up our.
All right, so everyone
So,
at home, I want you to make a guess of what we can see right now. How many CDs do you think are in the collection? And then we can find out at a later date.
yeah, I could give you a guess.
I'll count them.
She does obsessive compulsive
Yes,
stuff
everyone drop
like
a
that.
comment and tell me how many CDs you have. We have time for
We,
uh,
we lost you, Kabir. Say that again,
one,
please.
one more song. I said we have time for one more song. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great.
And my three favorite records, no one asked, but I'm a Leo, I'm going to tell you anyway, would be Stuff Smith, Have Violin Will Swing, Aretha Franklin, I know it's not a jazz record, but Aretha Franklin's Greatest Hits, and Coltrane with Johnny Hartman, the ballads, and actually Shirley Horn with strings. Woo! Okay, I snuck four in. Okay. We're going to do a really beautiful hymn for you, and this one is Sweet Hour of Prayer. You want to start?
There you have it, everyone. Regina Carter, Albester Garnett.
Thank you.
Put the applause up on the screen.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Kabir. Thank you for doing this. Thank you all for tuning in and listening and supporting us. We feel the love.
Awesome percussion work.
Thank you.
As we would normally do. Okay, thank you. We take another bow together?
Yeah. Thank you. That was fun.
That's great.
You guys are gonna get a very special present. My mom's special China bowl.
Ah,
Oh
nice.
man.
That's killing. My mom would love that. Yeah. Silver. That's good.
It's making me hungry.
Time to eat.
Thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Thank you for being here. If your mom watched, I hope she enjoyed. Thank you, Kabir.
Thank you.
It was a blast.
You got the China bowl. All right.
Woo.
Just a couple loose ends here. We did have several guests. That's Regina Carter, Albester Garnett, everyone. Please check out their Regina's website, reginacarter.com. Check her out on Spotify, all the streaming. Also, Albester, check them out on Facebook. There are some loose ends here just to tie up. We have several guesses as to how many CDs are in the bookcase, ranging from 127 to 30,000. So, so
That might be in the house.
I think each section. I think each section is 600, so that's 1,200. Basically, I mean, there's some gaps. I've started shifting things to the other side of the room. It's what you've seen here. It's got to be, I would say, yeah. So somewhere in the neighborhood of like 1,800, something like
And there's
probably around
some-
1,700.
And
Wow.
there's some over there,
Yeah.
and then there's the collection I have up in my office.
Yeah, Regina has a collection up in her office too.
all right,
So these are
Robert.
like mine.
Robert McNeil got the closest at 2,000,
Yeah.
and Herschel was at about 1,100. So somewhere in there are our winners. Hey, thanks for being on the show. Always great to see both of you in good spirits.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Of course,
We're doing this series too.
of course. And then everyone watching, remember the word of the day. If you remember the word of the day, drop a comment in the comment field, and I'll come find you and give you a prize.
Great.
All right.
And actually, you know what? I'm looking at the screen, and whoever guessed
Tonight
whoever
we
guessed
have
1,200 won it.
Oh.
Basically. Because it's only this section that's in the screen. Sorry to cut
Got
you
it.
off, Kabir. Sorry, yeah.
yeah.
Tonight, who's tonight?
No, it's cool. It's cool. Also, want to give a shout out to tonight is Tomoko Sugawara-san, incredible Japanese harp player, and tomorrow is Joey Alexander. So some great shows coming up. I also want to give a shout out to the sound and tech crew, Sandra and Camilo.
Yay.
They're open for business too. So check out their website. Let's put their website up on the screen. If you need audio services, please reach out to them. Mention one of their dogs, Oreo or Maui, and you will get a discount. So 2 whoops for that. Thanks everyone for checking out the show. We'll see you tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, every single night, 10 p.m. Eastern. Stay well, stay at peace, and stay home. Bye, everyone.